Today, in the first entry to the We Share Book Club, Alex and I dive into the best-selling novel, The Life List, written by Lori Nelson Spielman. In the book, Brett Bullinger sets out to complete her old list of childhood goals, spurred on by the memory of her mother who passed from cancer. Brett goes on to find out that her lifelong dreams lead her down a path she never expected for her future self. Welcome to the We Share podcast. I'm Julie.
I'm Alex.
We share ourselves and we provide a platform for others to share.
We believe everyone has a purpose and a story to tell.
And we're back on the We Share podcast. I'm Julie.
And I'm Alex.
And it's our maiden voyage of our book club.
Book club, summer book clubs in full sizzle.
Here it is. Yeah, we were just chatting one day about books that we thought we would love to have on the book club. And I mentioned this book, and you were like, I've seen that book has been made into a movie, because it's an older book. Yes. It was written in 2013, or published in 2013, I should say.
It was her first bestseller.
And it is so good. I happened upon the book accidentally. I had listened to it probably 3-4 months ago. And I remember crying. I remember laughing. I remember reflecting into my own life, what was happening in her life. And I'm like, this is the perfect kind of book for the book club.
Yeah. And well, parallel lines too, right? There's a lot of things that I want to dive into with you today about this book, but I felt like it was actually the book we were supposed to talk about. And I hope that our We Share tribe and family out there, that if you haven't read it, read it. It's worth reading. If you take time to watch the Netflix movie, or the movie on Netflix, it's different.
It is different. There's some key plot lines that are different. And I haven't watched the Netflix movie yet, but as I read about the Netflix movie, I felt like I didn't love that it wasn't genuine to how good the book was.
Right. And I didn't like the things that she changed, even down to like the names. I'm like, why did you change that name?
Right.
So it was interesting to me why she would change names. But yeah, definitely like the book. Why don't you, Julie, for those that may be listening that have no idea what The Life List is about, why don't you read that intro?
Okay, so this is from Book Key. I looked on a couple of different ones just to see which one would be the best for us to do. I'll just start here. At its core, The Life List explores the theme of personal growth and the importance of pursuing one's dreams. The protagonist, Brett Bullinger, is a young woman who seemingly has it all: a successful career, a loving family, and a promising future. I'll add right there, because there is no spoiler alert here. Her mother owns a cosmetics company, and she's been working at the cosmetics company, not in a very challenging position.
Hey, marketing.
But not
just
what,
kidding. Yeah.
That wasn't her desire.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't
was a job.
what her heart was speaking to her. But she was good at it.
Yeah.
And she was doing it, and she got to be with her mother, which was so important to her. But her mother gets cancer, and she works with her mother through the cancer, but then her mother dies. And when they go to the will reading, that's when the whole life plan changes for her, because she is told she cannot have any of her inheritance until she completes her life list.
Right.
And it's the life list she penned as a teenager. It's not one her mom made up.
Yeah, when she was 14.
Yeah, so here she is, a 14-year-old. She pens a life list. Her mom kept it.
Yeah.
And with each item on the life list, her mother has written her a letter, so that once she completes the item, she will get the letter. And if she completes all of the items within a year, then she will receive her inheritance.
Right. And doesn't she get like some bit of money too, or little things along the way with the letters? I was thinking she
never really gets money, but she gets benefits by being who she is in this world.
Right.
Like, she lives in her mother's house for a while. There's like connections to people that help her carry on and do the things that she's doing. But her sister-in-law, so her brother's wife,
Right.
also works at the cosmetics company, and the sister-in-law fires her as soon as the will's read.
But that was because the mother told her she had to.
Yes, it was predestined. You're not supposed to work here.
Which
You
is
need to go
just
do
like
your
one
thing.
of those things, like from the grave, the mom is firing her daughter and orchestrating really essentially the next year of her life.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to unpack in what, like, we could go a million places. I don't know where.
Yeah, since we're right there, I want to bring up something because I thought about this. Family relationships are really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And Brett, although her natural instinct is to hold a grudge against her siblings, she chooses to not.
Oh, yeah. She could have been so, like, bratty
Mm-hmm.
and just, like, went from multi-million, this huge company, stomp your feet, cry, and
She
do
did not.
nothing.
Yeah. And there were gut reactions at the beginning. Like she was mad at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, but she stifles that pretty quickly. There's times when her one brother is kind of an a-hole to her.
Mm-hmm.
He's not very nice. He looks at her and says, fine, if you think you need to live in the house, whatever, but I don't think you're being true to the way the will was written.
Right. And technically, she was obeying the rules because she was stepping out for that night that she spent volunteering. But why does he care? Like,
Yeah.
for me, I was like, what don't you have that you need? There was some similarities with me and
Right.
some of like things I've shared with you. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I felt like there were similarities between the life experiences that Brett in the novel is having that you have had with some
Yeah.
of your siblings. And those are hard things to keep a level, not emotional response to. And Brett does a pretty good job of that. She's not perfect at it,
No.
but she does a pretty good job at it. And the big one for me was him saying, well, you should probably leave the house, because that meant she had to go live in not the safest neighborhood.
She went and got an apartment, but that
Mhm.
was that strong, like, I'll do this.
Mhm.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I think she had, from the time she moved out, she had grown so much from those things on the list she completed that she was more comfortable in her own skin and this new identity, which was really probably just rediscovering who she really was.
Yeah. And about
with.
that same time, she sold her nice BMW because she knew, look,
And her watch.
yeah, this is my
Show the
new
watch.
life. And I don't need a watch and I don't need this BMW. I need a more sensible car. And so she made a lot of changes to what was really foundational for her. She had lived with money for a long time,
Yeah.
and she's in her 30s, and now it's not there.
Right. And then the boyfriend, they
Mhm.
break up, and then she's thinking, now I have to, one of the things on the list is find the love of her life. She has to fall in love and have a baby and a horse and a dog, like
All in a year.
all in a year. I mean, it's been done in Utah and Idaho, guys. I know it, but
Mhm.
it's not easy to do. Not
Yeah.
in that timeline and not when you're in your mid 30s.
Yeah. Especially when you haven't had to be gritty
Yeah.
up until that point. That's a hard time to learn to be gritty.
Yeah. And yet the author does such a great job because I know I found myself cheering on certain characters like, oh, it's happening. They're falling in love. Like I did really think she took me right there with the attorney. I'm like, it's going to be the attorney. He broke up with his girl, but then it ends up not being him.
Yeah.
And then the Burberry man, just the way they said, she called him the Burberry man. I was like, ooh, he's mysterious and has good taste in trench coats.
Yeah.
I love him. So Burberry's like
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite brand designers and fragrances. I wear her and Goddess. I love them both.
Yeah.
So I had an affinity for him just based on the fact that he was the Burberry man.
Yeah.
And I could picture him in
The
my head and
connection.
everything.
Yeah.
Just so happy. And spoiler alert, this is a book club. We're going to talk about the ending. She does end up with a Burberry man.
She does. And I thought it was super interesting in the novel how the author presents it as, we have whatever you want to call it, relationship with God, destiny, however you refer to it. The Burberry man keeps re-entering her life.
But we didn't even know we knew he was the Burberry man, but she had talked to him because he was the counselor, like
That was helping her with her
therapist.
job.
Yeah, with her job with the students. And she had in her mind that this was an older gentleman because of his job and stuff. So the Burberry man is someone that she had crossed paths with, felt energy, felt probably a chemistry, or at least the book alluded to. So she had a physical chemistry with Burberry man. And then this therapist man, she had an intellectual kind of mysterious
Emotional
emotional
too.
connection. So when those married, it was like,
She found the perfect man.
Mm-hmm.
She did. Okay, so on the list, let's just go this direction.
Okay.
What were you give me one of the things that spoke to you the most that she had to complete on the list?
Well, first I went back to like, because I was a list maker. I don't know if you were a list maker.
I was not
I
at
wrote
all.
lists all the time, and I've actually had someone ask me. This is probably 8 years, maybe even 10 years ago. Like, well, what's next on your list? And I've accomplished a lot of things that were on my list. So then your list evolves, right? You come up with new things, like. You know, like I've had my dream car, big whoop. Like then I got a new dream car, and now I don't know. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like you realize you change the older you get, what like really matters. And so I felt the alignment with Brett, the character, in that respect. But of her life list, I think the one that was the hardest for me, was her having a baby. Because I remember struggling to get pregnant and having kids initially. And like, who's to say she can have a baby? And you don't want to have a baby when you're not married or out of wedlock. I was like, seriously, sidebar, Elizabeth, what are we doing here?
Right.
Like with your daughter. And I get you wanting her to have children to experience the joys of motherhood, because I want that for everyone if they want it to, because as much or as difficult it can be, and it stretches you so much, it is the most rewarding thing is to be a mother. And it's a different kind of love that I really don't think you can explain or feel from any other thing, because I just do.
Well, she gets the letter from her mother about having a baby, even though by the end of the book she doesn't have a baby.
Right.
But
she almost did.
She almost did, and she helped a young woman who had a baby at age 16, and she ends up dying.
Yes.
The young woman dies. It was one of her students, and she helps her, and her and the lawyer decide she completed it because of the journey she took with Sakita is the woman's name.
Yes, and the baby was going to be Brett's. She was going to adopt the baby, but that the druggy mom came in from Detroit.
Yeah, druggy
or the
grandma.
The actual mom of the girl that had a teen mom and was going to get money and whatnot. So this poor baby is going to go back to the system that the teen mom was trying to get her baby out of, like that life. That part was hard to read, for sure. And just also, I mean, I found myself like, well, what if she can't get pregnant? And then finding when Sakita had the baby, I knew like right when that part entered the story, I'm like, and they said that she could die if she had this baby. I knew that moment that she was going to die, and that I already knew. I had chapters to read, but that it played out just like I thought. The only plot twist is I didn't anticipate the grandmother from Detroit coming in.
Yeah.
To get the baby. So I'm like, oh, she's going to have a baby and it's adopted, and she did it. She checked the box. Next. Like I was already moving on, and that didn't actually count, but I was glad that Brad, the attorney, did make it count.
Yes. And the letter that or that Brad reads to her from her mother, because she always has Brad, the attorney, read the letters. And the letter that Brad reads from the mother to Brett tells her that motherhood will be the hardest, yet the most rewarding. I don't remember the quote exactly, but that you will be devastated, fulfilled. Like she lists all of these different emotions that come from being a mother. And that really hit home because you and I now have adult kids. We've gone through all those emotions.
Well, and we've both lost our mothers.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have like you. I mean, I don't know. I always forget the details of your mom's death versus I remember your dad's more for some reason. But,
It was just more tragic. Both were tragic, but yeah.
But like with my mom being like sick and in the end, like just knowing it was going to happen, there was a will. Things didn't go as planned with our family, separating things either. But it's so different. My mom did not leave me a list, thank goodness, because it would have been too much for me at the time. But I don't know where else I'm going with this.
It's like, just that the mother, to give her that advice is so. It would be nice to hear from our mothers right now about raising kids. Those words of advice that her mother gave to her, that would be very comforting.
It would be, and she did get him for like a whole year. She got those spread out messages. But also, let's talk about the complexity of her dad.
Oh, yeah.
Her estranged father, and then finding out that she has a different father from her brothers. And the brother found out first because he grabbed that book, that journal that she was waiting to read. And what that would have felt like.
I can't even imagine because it actually assuaged part of her guilt because she felt guilty that she didn't have a relationship with her father.
And that her, like, so it validated her, right? Like, oh, he was really struggling with me. He really didn't like.
It was hard for him to love me because he knew I wasn't his child. And his mother, or Brett's mother, had an affair with a musician. And so Brett, as part of this journey throughout the year, has to find who this is. She uses a private investigator. She has to figure out who her real father is. And when she does reconnect with her real father, it's not seamless. There were bumps at the beginning, but eventually they form a wonderful bond as father-daughter.
Yes.
And she gets to mark that off of her list.
And she gets a half-sister.
Yeah, she gets a half-sister. She also experiences some anger at her mom through that. And I think that was a very natural emotion that the author brought out because you would kind of be...
You would want to know, like, why didn't, but it was, I mean, I'm assuming back then they were just, we're going to dust this under the rug. We're going to stay married, keep our family intact. And the musician left town, you know.
And it was so interesting how it was kind of like a domino effect because once she would complete something on the list, there were items on the list that almost opened up other items on the list.
Which is what led to her finding out about her dad was reconnecting with Carrie, her high school friend that she had a falling out of. But initially, she thought the relationship with her dad was with the dad that rejected her, which until she found out she had a different dad, it didn't really make sense to her. I think.
And he was dead, so how was she going to fix that? Like it was
like,
this
Mom,
item on the list that I can't do.
Because she went to the grave, right? She went to make peace at the grave. I'm like, this is really weird.
But then they discovered that through the book that the journal that her mother had written, that there was another man. And then when she reconnected with Carrie, which was very sweet, by the way, that they were able to reconnect as friends, she learned through Carrie's parents that, oh, no, there was this musician and his name was this. And she started putting 2 + 2 = 4, and that's my dad. And that's how she found him.
I believe she mentioned his eyes when she saw the picture of him.
Yeah.
And you've heard stories like that from people when they've met long lost family, or like Debbie Olson when we had her on here.
Yes.
When you reconnect with members of your family that maybe you've been estranged or gone through adoption or fostering, you see them and you have that bond or that tether
Mm-hmm.
that never went away.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I think Lori, the author, did a really good job of writing in these details, and I was emotional, like not bawling or anything, because most of the time I was like active, either walking the river
Yeah.
or sitting. But yeah, I loved the book.
Yeah,
I
I thought
loved
it
that
was
it made me think
fantastic.
a lot.
Yeah. Let's talk about a really light one that she did.
Okay.
So she had written on her life list as a teenager that she wanted to perform on a big stage.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were going to say kiss the
Oh,
boy. She didn't kiss that boy.
yeah, she didn't kiss that boy. It was perform on a big stage. And did you just ache for her when she bombed she did a comedy routine on a stage? Were you just like,
but I thought of it too as like,
her?
I would probably try that route too, versus like going
to sing,
do a play that you're going to have to do repeatedly at night. Like comedy, I would do that. Check the box off quick. And she did have friends with her there.
Yeah.
But the heckler.
Oh my goodness. You just kind of like your secondhand embarrassment for her. But one of the things that was really sweet about her choosing comedy is her mom had told her how funny she was repeatedly throughout her life. And since this list was connected to her mom,
yeah,
she did the comedy routine.
Yeah, it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice touch.
Lighter version of, because you would do silly things like that on your list. If you were a teenager, you would write things like that.
What were, I know things that were on my list in high school, like, I mean, honestly, marry, return missionary.
Yeah.
Check that box. But travel, I loved travel, so I always wanted to travel to Europe. I did get to do that in college. Married in the temple, checked that box. I wanted 8 kids. Nope, stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, halfway there.
The universe stopped. Yeah, I got halfway. Yes. Oh, man. I did not know what I did not know.
You're right. Well, and it's a very interesting discovery of love in this book. Love on all levels. Loving her father, loving her mother, loving her siblings, but also realizing what you thought was real love, which was who she was dating when her mother died, and then realizing how much more depth she needed in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
If she was going to do it long term.
See it, but didn't want to like come out and say it. And it was nice to see the evolution of Brett get to that on her own. And then, oh, okay, we have to tell this part because I could just cue the moving vans. It was so awesome where she realized everything in their apartment that they got together, it was all in his name, not her name. She was making the payments. She had the money. He was an attorney, but she had a lot more money. And most of the items in the apartment were hers, down to the dishes, everything, with the exception of this one leather chair. And she realizes she's going to just, it's fine. She's breaking up with him. She's moving on. She just went and got her clothes and a few things and was going to leave him everything else. And he gets home while she's there. And so you can just imagine, you're like, oh, okay, hide. And she can hear the drunken tone, practically probably smell the whiskey around the corner on his breath. And she hears a girl with him and immediately recognizes it as her friend, Megan, who wasn't in a happy relationship. My heart sunk because that feeling of betrayal by both your boyfriend. Yes, you may have just broken up a week before, but is there no, some people it's just like the minute it's over, it's over.
Just moving on.
Some people need time. I'm someone that needs time, but to then have your friend I mean, I've had friends get together later and I'm happy about it. It's just, it was really fast. But then for her to the next day show up with moving vans when he was at work and take every single thing out of there, and because it was hers, and then donate it to the home that she was helping at, and not keep it for herself because she didn't have anywhere to put it. But I just loved that.
It was a
That
level
one of
of
my favorite
strength.
parts.
Yeah, it was a level of strength about
Yeah.
her because she was very much like the Julia Roberts movie where Julia Roberts changes herself for whomever she is dating. That's what Brett was doing here.
Yeah.
She had kind of just changed herself to be with this lawyer guy, and she was using it like the relationship
Well, it was like who she was supposed to be with, right?
Yes.
You should be with an attorney.
Yeah,
You should be.
This is a wise decision.
It was checking the box, so to speak, but not the right box.
Yeah, it was the wrong emotions. And when she realized that, and then she became so strong and said, no, booking the moving van, taking the furniture and giving it to somebody who deserves it. And she gave it to a halfway house for teen mothers. Yeah, it like such a good decision on her part.
Where she met Sakita.
Yeah.
It was so, I just loved it, that part. And it wasn't predictable because that wasn't her character. But then she's like,
when pushed into a corner, all of a sudden this strong woman came out.
And then I just would love to have been there. Like, again, this is not real, I know. This book is real, but I pretend everything's real. To have been there when he walked in to see the empty place.
Yeah.
Because it would have been so like, And then we learned later in the book that he told Megan that she robbed him, and he was he was considering pressing charges and getting his stuff back. And Megan's like, why would you take all his stuff? And Brett's like, it was all my stuff. Like, so clearly that girl was not ever really a good friend. She was more of just like a placeholder. I don't know what.
Yeah. And I think we have friends like that in our lives, friends that we have a good time with. Yeah, she would have a good time with Megan, but those diehard true friends she learned was Carrie.
Right.
The friend that she wronged in high school.
And that so quickly forgave and
her.
Flew out on an airplane.
Yep. And just started like helping her and brought her into her family. And there was just no hard feelings. And I think we all know when we have real friends who will do anything for you, let you have mistakes, let you fail, and then also celebrate when you succeed. That's who Carrie was. Clearly, Megan was not going to be that person.
I know you would agree with this because you just got back from a trip to Nashville with your girlfriends. Some of the best friends you make are in high school.
Yeah.
And then I would say college. And then we have our careers. But I still have dear high school friends. And some that I might not have seen for a long time. But anytime we hop back on the phone or run into each other, it's like an instant connection and love for each other.
Yeah, we'll go weeks without speaking. This group of girls that I go with, we have an ongoing text thread, obviously, but we'll go weeks without speaking. But when we get together, there is no judgment. It doesn't matter who has what job. It's not about social status. It's about we love each other endlessly. And to make that point, if I was writing a book, we had one of those moments on my trip. We happened into these tickets at the Grand Ole Opry, and we got to see a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It was a tribute night for Johnny Cash. They only did it one time. That was it.
So
It was a
awesome.
group of entertainers that were together that will never perform together again, closed out by Lainey Wilson. When that show ended, I turned around and looked at my 5 friends, and I touched my one friend, Charlene, who it was her bachelorette party, and I said, was this really good? And she was tearing up, and she said this was the best night ever. And we just circled each other and gave each other this big, huge 5-person hug.
Right, group hug.
And we
Huddling.
all had tears in our eyes because that's what you do with people who are forever stamped on your heart.
Right.
And Megan wasn't going to be somebody that was forever stamped on Brett's heart. Yeah.
And we know the people that are and the people that aren't.
Yeah.
So just be grateful for the ones
Cherish.
that are.
Yeah.
That when you have those lifelong friends, just
Hold them tight.
Yeah. And take care of their hearts.
Yeah.
Um,
Any other of the ones that you want to go through?
I'm
Like,
trying to think. I'm looking at my list.
I'm looking here. So maybe the one that we should talk about, because she has some cute little ones, like get a dog, get a
Yeah.
horse. Like those all have cute tie-ins to them. But she had always thought she would be a teacher,
Yes.
and she had actually failed at it. And her mom knew she needed to revisit that in her life.
Yep.
And she did it in a very unconventional way. She worked with the social services system, and she would visit kids at their homes.
Yeah,
Kids,
she was like a homebound. It's called a
Yeah.
homebound teacher. But at first, she got in so much trouble that day at school at her job. Like the kids
Yeah.
just knew. And I think everyone listening, and Julie can agree probably, there's been a class where you had a substitute teacher where someone gave her hell or him hell. Subs are notoriously known for
getting
like,
it.
yeah, the person, the class clown, whatever, is going to just be difficult for that sub. It's just a thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So it was no shock that happened to her.
Yeah.
And then she got in trouble and did not.
Basically got told, don't come back.
Yeah. Like, this isn't for you. And then she's like, well, I have to be a teacher.
It's on my list.
It's a roadblock if I'm not a teacher.
Uh-huh.
But then she ended up getting to be
A teacher.
homebound teacher.
Yeah, in a very non-conventional way. And I think that's a life lesson. This is called the life list, but I
Yeah.
think it's a life lesson for all of us that dreaming is important. In fact, I looked up some of the quotes from the book to remind myself. And one of the quotes in the book is that dream is not a noun, like something that
That's a verb.
it's a verb. It's what you do. It's not something that happens. It's not a place like we sometimes use it. It's an action.
Right.
And she figured out that her dream, although written on the list like it was a check and something she was going to accomplish, it was actually an action, and that meant that it could change and be molded and altered, and she could find great joy after she had molded it.
Yes.
And what a life lesson for us.
Well, and she had the gift of being a teacher that her mom could see.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking back to that domino effect you spoke of, had she not gone to the homebound teaching, she wouldn't have been connected to that therapist or to Sakita. Like it's so much like life, right? We plant that seed and it grows and all these different legs take off, and it's wherever you go and nourish and follow that. But I do believe, like wholeheartedly, what's meant for you will find you. Sometimes it takes longer.
The Burberry man.
Yeah, than what you think it's going to be. But like if you surrender to a divine timing, and, we can will certain things to happen, but if you don't take that step or put yourself out there or try new things, you're never going to, you got to open the door. You got to take that first
Such a
step.
lesson to learn from the book, because I think all of us could say, well, I thought I was going to be this, or I thought I would accomplish this. And your life actually turned out different than that, but you ended up accomplishing it just in a different way.
Right. You still got the lessons you needed to, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that you haven't are definitely waiting. So one of the questions I came across to ask for a book club was like, and so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What, if you were to write a life list now, what would your life list look like now? So not like from this point forward. Like you've already accomplished some things, but what would your life list look like now?
So I have one that's very set that has come to my mind immediately, which is I lived a very busy life when my children were young. I did work. We ran to lots of activities. I was very engaged in my religion, so lots of time spent doing that. And I feel like I compromised some of the things I could have done with my kids because of those other things, although good, got in the way. And my goal is that as I get more grandchildren, I've got a third one coming in November, that I have lived a life, and I'm working very hard at it. I work 3 jobs. One of my jobs, all of the money goes into retirement savings. 100% of the income from it goes into retirement savings. And it's significant. And that's on purpose because I'm not going to do this forever.
Right.
I'm going to hang out with my grandkids. And it's a goal between me, my husband, my kids. That is what I want to do. And I'm getting much closer to it.
Oh.
And that's part of the list is that I just want to do it differently than I did it when I had kids.
Right. Well, and a gift too is things slow down. We get a little bit older, although we don't look older. I know, stop. But you can enjoy those grandkids, and it can give your adult children the break so that they can still enjoy their relationship with their spouse, get away, have vacations, things like that. Because honestly, I think that's important in the whole
For the
family
health of their
dynamic,
family.
for the health of their couple relationship. And it's a joy for you. Now, if it was here, I'm dumping the kids on you for a year, that's not fun.
Right.
But to
these
have
nuggets
those,
of time here and there.
where you get to give them some free time, because it's something I never got. And I've been so happy for my friends and jealous. Like when they can just leave. Oh, their grandma picked them up, or like, and I'm like, that
I never had that. Yeah.
never had that. And I want to be that. So I'm not set up quite like you are yet, but I will make a point of like, you need me. That will end up being my vacation.
I'll make it happen.
And that will be well worth it.
Yeah.
Just because time is the most valuable thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you change on your list?
Or add for my new list. I still I love to travel. So I mean, fall in love and get married and all those things. Yes. I still want all that. I want the happy ending. But I want to just keep traveling, like to new places, see new places, new experiences, meet new people, hike new mountains. Maybe
both figuratively and realistically hike new mountains.
And I don't know. In the back of my mind, I'm like, could I still be a professional golfer or tennis player? I don't know.
In the senior league?
Yeah. See, it would definitely be senior league. I had a tennis match the other night, and I ended up winning. It was hard fought, and then my knee was so swollen yesterday, and I'm like, what am I doing? But in those moments when I'm gritty and I'm hitting these winners or aces and I'm having so much fun, I'm like, my mom saw this in me, but I was just too distracted trying to do everything. But the fact that I'm still playing the way I play at 51 and whatever, almost 52, like, I'm just thankful, because it really has been a source of, for me, like an outlet to get rid of frustration, mental, like,
there's an attribute that you and I both share. We like being good at things.
Yeah.
It is. People ask me all the time, why have you done so many different things in your life? Because I like to get good at stuff.
Yeah.
It's just part of my personality. And it's okay if you're not built that way, but you and I are built that way.
And it does. Yeah. I have no judgment to anyone that doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't know why I pushed myself so hard.
Yeah.
It's probably something from a childhood.
We would probably have way less stress if we weren't these personalities, but that's just how we're built.
Yeah. I mean, I already got a text today from my captain asking, would I be willing to play singles again next Monday night? And she knows, because she knows I lay it all on the line in the court. But I also said, I can't just be the singles player, because it's so much harder on your body.
So much work. Yeah.
Way more territory. And I'm like struggling with my body at the age it's at, thinking that I'm still in high school, state tennis player, like thinking that I can do that. And I'm not. So
yeah,
the reality is I move slower. I'm not as strong, but
But
I
the
love
book
it.
teaches us that, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about her becoming a teacher. It's a different version of it.
Right.
Like maybe you start playing pickleball instead of tennis. Or
And I have started that, but it's just different.
it's very different.
Pickleball is fun. It's more social. The competitive side still comes out in me, but I just love to hit it hard.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's not
and
really...
I can hit it really hard. And in pickleball, you hit it hard, and it's the same as if you hit it soft. I mean, I don't even know. But
yeah, well, and the very soft dink is what it's called. The dink game is way different than tennis.
I would say something like, I mean, I know Wimbledon's going on right now, but the whole tennis segue, it's such a good life sport. So like this life list, golf is a great life sport too. But what tennis has taught me more than any other sport I've done is like patience and letting go of that point, because there's so many points in a game, and then it's a new game, and then there's sets, and so it's not over. Like you could be down 5-1 and still come back and win that set and win the match. So if you get in your own head, then you can ruin it. But if you just figure out what they're doing and figure out the patterns and what's working and then keep repeating that. So it is a mental, it's like chess, like running. Like, so there's so much that goes into it. The people I tend to beat are not just because I'm stronger. It's because I outsmarted them. And that comes from experience, which is just more time on the court.
Which is also relative to this book, because that's what she did. There were times when she was really down and out.
Yeah.
And you would think it was over for her, and she figured the long game out and kept playing.
Yep. And no, so true. So I guess just travel and hopefully have a travel adventure buddy that can travel with me.
Your Burberry man.
My Burberry man.
Yeah. Anything else you think we need to cover on the book?
I did think it was interesting, their name choice. That her name was Brett. Did you think it was interesting that her name was Brett?
Yeah, well,
because it was a boy name.
It was so important to the book, and
it was part of her comedy show.
It was part of her comedy show. It was part of the fact that when the man that she met as the counselor that ends up being her love at the end of the book, he thought she was a man to begin with. Like it's integrated throughout the book. I also think that if you're going to get really deep into the writing, she found that like that.
Wasn't it related to a novel from back?
Yes, yeah. But she embraced it and found that strong energy that came from it. I mean, if she had a name like Lily, right? It would, like, that is so soft and broken and easily damaged.
Right.
And I feel like the name was designed that, she was going to have hard times, but Brett is such a strong name, and she was going to hold to it all the way through the book.
And that character that she was so-called named after from the book. Like,
yeah.
I think that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of this book, is there's little intricate things like that all over in the book. It's not just this basic story. There's all these little nuggets all the way through. I'll just give you another one of the little nuggets. As she's living in her mother's house, she is looking at items in the house, and she's realizing how they shaped her life and the way that they gave her peace and the way that they gave her commitment. And like all of these things, that's how detailed the writing is in this book. I love writing like that.
I love the writing too, the detail.
I mean, it's a good story all on its own, but the writing behind the story is very good.
Very easy to read and digest. And I mean, it's been a few weeks since I finished it.
It's been several months since,
So the fact that I'm retaining as much as I am means it did imprint on me. It definitely had some emotional connection to this book, and I'm excited to explore this author and read other books.
You and I were discussing before we went on today that we're probably going to do a second one from her.
Yes.
Yeah, which I'm excited too, because I thought this was an amazing book. Very
well
written.
Let's tee off our I think if we're done with that one, I can't remember.
It's the Colleen Hoover
Is
book.
it the Colleen Hoover one?
Is
Okay.
this is the next one? Which this is a book I haven't read, and so as I read it, it will
Nor
be much.
have I.
It'll be much fresher in my mind.
It's called Too Late.
Too Late. And people love her as an author. I've not read any of her books, so I'm kind of excited to see if I fall in love with her like other people have.
Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen any of them.
Okay. So good. So I have read the two popular ones of hers, the prequel and the sequel or whatever. But I'm excited to read Too Late.
Another reason I'm excited for this, and for those who are in the same part of life that we are, one of the ways that I still connect with my adult children is I engage in things that they're doing. My daughters read Colleen Hoover. So this will be a fun way for me to engage with my children. I would give that as a recommendation to people, adult mothers who are like, I don't know how to be in their life anymore. Right. This is one way to do it.
Because, you can connect over the story and talk about the story. Now, have you asked them if they've already read this?
No.
one?
So I'm going to,
so
if they haven't, I'm going to have them read it with me.
I also want to bring up another book because I always love it when people share books they love. So after I finished the life list, I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked taking a break from self-help. And so then I went back to my library and I was like, okay, what am I listening to now? And I started one self-help book that was, on deck. And I'm like, 5 minutes into my walk, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it.
I need another.
And then I went through another one. And then I'm like, no, I need to go find something. But I didn't want to download Too Late because I bought that to read. And I really want to try to just do that one like hands on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, but I found this book and I listened to it and it had it pulled at my heartstrings a lot like the Life List did. And so this is an author that I had never heard of before, but it was recommended because of the Life List. And it's called Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez.
Oh, I've read Abby. She's so good.
She's so good.
She is so good. Highly recommend
I
Abby.
definitely want to read more of her books. But so if you've read this one, I don't know, but Say You'll Remember Me. It is a story of a daughter. And the mother has dementia. The grandma is taking care of him. The other sister is divorced, has two little boys, and they have a gay brother. And then the dad is so they're kind of like living together as a family. But the main character, before she moves back, I don't know why I'm blocking on her name. I feel like she's my new best friend because I just powered through that in 1 week. But she meets a veterinarian because she tries to rescue a kitty. Did you read this one?
I've read this book. Mm-hmm.
It's so cute. And the doctor's like this hot veterinarian and you could just feel it. And they do the long distance relationship for a year. And there's just so much romance. And yes, not
very easy
everyone
read.
Is an Xavier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he is pretty awesome. They get locked in an escape room. But it was really intimate with what the family was struggling with, and it was all on display. I mean, the dad realizing the mom wasn't there and skipping out on her at night to go hook up with someone.
I would say this book
is
an evidence of how messy life is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a messy, messy life. And not by choices that we make.
No,
she's great at her job. She works for a mustard company. Yeah,
marketing again. So a girl in marketing. I'm like, this is interesting.
What a theme. Yeah. And life is just messy,
and you don't have as much control.
It. Mm-hmm.
And I loved how Dr. Hank, the old man, the way that they brought that around, and then he basically tells Xavier this is a job. You can go have a job in California. What are you waiting for? If she's the love of your life, go be with her. You need to make those memories. Why delay? And it just hit me a lot. I'm like, that is so brilliant. That is truly what life's all about. It's a great
read. And
so Abby Jimenez, if you message me, but I I can clearly see there's other books of hers that I want to read now too. So I'm like going to have this bingey summer filled with all the non-self-help things. I'm sure I'll read one or two self-help, but it's been a nice break.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cute book. Totally recommend it.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, you guys. So excited for next month. So make sure you're reading that book, Too Late by Colleen Hoover, and we'll do it towards probably like the last week of July.
Most likely it will just be the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah. And we are absolutely hoping that as we do more books, you want to join us in studio. You can come be with us during this.
Come be in studio. We can also send you a Zoom link. We'll
there's lots of ways we can do this. So, give us a message if you just send it to us if you're interested in being part of the book club. And it's been awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks for joining us today on the We Share podcast.
If you've loved what you've heard, please give us a 5-star rating. Tell your friends and share this show.
You can also follow us for recipes, lifestyle and fashion tips, book reviews, and more on WeSharePodcast.com.
Join our Share Squad and sign up for our newsletter there.
We would love to connect with you.
We share on TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a follow.
A big goodbye squeeze and sending you all our love from Alex and Julie.
Join us next week on the We Share podcast.